All right, everyone. It's 10 a.m. on this lovely day, Thursday, November 16. It really is a pleasure for me to welcome all of you in our webinar. There's about 20 people joining in as more people are joining. First of all, thank you for taking the time to join our Microsoft Beanfield and Solulan co-hosted webinar. We have a lot of exciting announcements to make, lots of technologies we want to share with you. We only have an hour together. However, I want to make sure that we continue this conversation. We do have these webinars, and we plan to have these webinars planned on a regular basis with our partners, Beanfield and Microsoft. So again, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the latest Microsoft technologies in unified communications, customer experience, and obviously AI. Some of you know that as we speak, since yesterday, Microsoft Ignite, which is the largest partner conference in Seattle, hosted by Microsoft, has been going on. So there's a lot of announcements, a lot of news that are going to be announced in the next few days. But it's just a phenomenal time to be in technology these days, because the staggering amount of innovations and announcements is just absolutely phenomenal. Today, before I move on, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Rija Raharinosi. I am the Vice President in charge of the UC, CX, and AI division at Solulan. I'm very happy to host this webinar with my partners, strategic partners. So today I do have our partner, Beanfield, who is a large Canadian fiber optic carrier who's going to be part of this webinar. So maybe Ash, if you could just maybe introduce yourself quickly, and then afterwards, Simon, if you could introduce yourself as well, coming from Microsoft.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rija, and good morning, everyone. Glad to be here, and thank you, Solulan and Microsoft, for hosting this. Looks like we got a great turnout. So my name is Ash Brar. I'm the Director of Product and Solution Engineering here at Beanfield. Been with the company just under 5 years, and have gone through rapid expansion and growth. And I'm hoping to tell our story about who we are and what we do in the next 60 minutes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ash. Simon, do you want to maybe unmute yourself and just introduce you quickly to our guests?
Yes, Simon Poirier. I'm a cloud solution architect in the modern network, working at Microsoft for the last 10 years. I work with customers and partners, and now heavily focus, as pretty much everybody at Microsoft, on our AI solution, including Copilot or Microsoft 365, which I will be talking about today and showcasing you live.
Wonderful. We're very excited. Thank you for the opportunity, gentlemen. Thank you for this initiative that we're doing together. Before I go into the agenda of today's call, I just want to give a little bit of housekeeping here. So as I said, we're going to be here for the next hour. I want you to know that you do have the ability to ask questions. So there will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation where you will be given the opportunity to ask questions. You just have to click on Q&A and raise your hand, and we'll be able to unmute you and ask questions, as you probably seen, but you're actually muted as you came into the call. Again, there will be a Q&A session at the end. This presentation is going to be recorded. Our marketing team are going to be sending you a copy of this recording. So should you not be able to stay longer or anything like that, no worries whatsoever. We will send you a copy of the presentation. And then finally, anything you want to discuss following this presentation, we have prepared with Beanfield a special email address, which is partners@beanfield.com, where you can reach out to us. It's coming to all of us. So should you want to do a follow-up call, would you have any questions or any discussion, a workshop that you want to set up following all of the latest technologies that we're going to feature today, this is your opportunity to come in contact with us. Okay, so with no further ado, because we have so much today to cover, I want to go through our agenda. This presentation really is an opportunity for us to provide you an update on the latest features and technologies coming, specifically around unified communications, customer experience, and AI. As you can imagine, and specifically because of Ignite going on right now, there's a staggering amount of innovations and technologies that are being announced. So in 1 hour, we're not going to be able to cover everything, obviously. However, I really want to showcase some of the features that I find is really a game changer in the way we do collaborate with each other these days, thanks to Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to talk about Intelligent Recap, which is a phenomenal feature that has been now rolled out and available to everybody. I want to also announce the Meet app for you in Microsoft Teams, specifically in Premium. It has been a game changer in terms of productivity. A lot of people actually are not aware, but you do have access. If you have a subscription, you do have access to the Meet app, and it is really going to change the way you are productive and working with your colleagues and your friends. I do have some announcements about for those of you who are actually using pagers within your organizations, speakers, ringers. There's a phenomenal partnership that Microsoft has announced with Algo that allows you to bring some of the investments that you've made in the past. So I do have that. And then I'm going to talk about customer experience with the partnership with Microsoft and Anywhere365, which is a contact center specifically for Microsoft Teams that I want to feature here today. Finally, I want to talk about two very important pieces specifically for us Canadians. I want to feature my partner Beanfield, who is a new Operator Connect, who's bringing a lot of competition and a host of new services around PSTN, being a newly Operator Connect in Microsoft 365. So Ash is going to talk to us about why that is a game changer for those of you who are thinking about upgrading your phone system to Microsoft Teams, and you want to work with a carrier that is bringing very, very competitive pricing and services. And I'm really happy to feature Beanfield for that. And then finally, as Simon mentioned before, we're going to be talking about Copilot, which is your AI assistant in Microsoft 365. We're going to talk about why it's a game changer and some announcement that was made during Ignite yesterday and today, and a live demo that would finish the presentation today. Okay, so a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. Hopefully you guys will find it interesting. Again, it's going to be recorded, and it's really going to be something that you can come back anytime after. Some of you, if you are following the news around Microsoft, you probably know that Microsoft has announced their latest investor relations calls. They're the quarterly calls that is happening. A couple of weeks ago, Microsoft announced their staggering numbers in terms of numbers of monthly active users for Microsoft Teams. They've reached 350 million monthly active users now on Microsoft Teams, which makes it the mostly used UC platform on the marketplace today. And over 1,800 companies with more than 10,000 users are all on Microsoft Teams. And we're talking about 200 million meetings that are being held on Microsoft in a single day. So these numbers are just phenomenal. The amount of innovations that we're seeing within the Microsoft Teams platform is absolutely staggering, which is only going to fuel more innovation for the future. So I'm really, really happy to announce to you some of the innovations that I've talked to you about, starting with something that I've been starting to use myself a couple of months ago, which I find is a really game changer when it comes to my own productivity. And this is Teams Premium. With Microsoft Teams Premium, my team and I have been using the Intelligent Recap feature, which has been absolutely amazing because without having to do anything, Microsoft Teams basically provides us a full summary of all of our meetings with the ability to generate all the notes but also all of the different tasks that everyone in the meeting was able to agree upon, with a recording of the presentation and obviously the watermarks. So I talked about the intelligent recap, which is really something that's been a game changer in my own productivity. The next one I wanted to introduce you is the Meet app, which all of you have access to in Microsoft 365. If you have Teams, you do have the Meet app. So the Meet app is this new app in Teams that allows you to basically organize your day and allows you to basically see all of the future, upcoming, and meetings that you have access to, and it allows you to go back to all of your meetings. And I just prepared a quick video that I'm going to play with you that allows you to see it quickly. So I'm going to play it now, and you're going to be able to see how really this Meet app, which all of you have access to, will allow you to be more productive.
Over the past few years, the time spent in meetings has more than doubled. With less focus time, many of us are looking for ways to work smarter, not longer. Meet is an app in Teams that helps you optimize your workday by effectively managing all your meeting preparation and review in one place. View essential meeting information and catch up quickly on meetings that you missed. To access Meet, first, make sure you are using the new Teams experience by flipping the toggle in the upper left corner of the Teams app. Then, click the three dots on the left navigation bar and type in Meet. When the icon appears, right-click and select Pin. Now Meet will appear in your navigation bar for easy access going forward. In the Up Next section of Meet, you'll see your upcoming meetings and essential information at a glance. Easily prepare for meetings with access to meeting content. Start the meeting chat even before the meeting begins, ensuring any updates or offline discussions happen in the shared chat for continuity. Or request a recording if a meeting is scheduled outside of your business hours. Join your next meeting directly from Meet, or let the team know you're running late, all with the click of a button. Missing a meeting happens, but with Meet, it's easier than ever to catch up on past discussions. Review recent meetings in one place and easily access the notes, shared files, transcript, chat, meeting recap, and recording. Search and filter meetings from the past month with keywords like a colleague's name or a topic. For Teams Premium users, Meet is integrated with Intelligent Recap, so you can see when your name was mentioned, view assigned tasks, and navigate to the Intelligent Recap page. Microsoft Teams, a smart place to work.
So that was Meet. That was Meet. Another piece of innovation that is also really important for you to be aware of, which was announced in October, is that the fact that some of you have invested into a lot of infrastructure. You may have invested into some legacy phones, some pagers, some speakers that you have already put together and deployed within your organization. So announcing this partnership between Teams and a company called Algo, you now, through a SIP gateway, have the ability to connect and use the investment that you've already deployed within organizations and being able to have Microsoft Teams working with these investments. And this is for Cisco phones, this is for AudioCode phones, this is for Poly phones, phones that, as long as they are SIP and provide connectivity with SIP, allows you to be able to connect to Microsoft Teams. And really a game changer for those of you who don't necessarily want to reinvest into a lot of infrastructure when it comes to collaboration. Another thing that also came up recently and was announced last month, for those of you who are actually looking into contact centers, there's a third-party partnership with Anywhere365 and Microsoft Teams that allows you to basically deploy a contact center for Teams literally in minutes. They have really simplified the way to deploy Microsoft Teams for your contact center agents, whether you are with Beanfield or with another Opera Connect, whether you are Microsoft calling plans, or if you are in direct routing, it doesn't really matter. If you're looking for a contact center that can set up your agents and have access to all of the latest AI technologies, Infinity, Microsoft Anywhere365 Infinity is really a game changer. Simplicity, the fact that you can literally in minutes full SaaS solution that you can set up with a contact center, fully secure because it's all hosted in Azure, and you can change. You can benefit from all of the security that you get from Azure, fully integrated with your backend, whether you're using Salesforce, Dynamics, or ServiceNow. And most importantly, for those of you who have a very who are closely monitoring your budget, it's completely on a fixed fee basis. So as long as you stay in a certain numbers of dialogues or calls, for those of you who are on voice only, you can have an unlimited numbers of users or agents, supervisors working on this platform. So it's really a game changer in the way things are being used with Microsoft Teams for those of you who are using contact centers. Now, one thing that I'm really excited, specifically as a Canadian looking for more competition on the marketplace for telecom, I'm really excited about a new player that is now in Opera Connect in Office 365 that allows Canadian companies to be able to go and have PSTN. This is obviously my partner Beanfield. So for some of you who may not be aware of why it makes sense to have Opera Connect as opposed to maybe other ways to connect to Microsoft Teams, there's really 4 reasons why you want to look into Opera Connect. One, you may already working with this partner. You want to leverage your existing contracts with them, and you just want to move to Teams as your phone system. That is a good reason why you want to do that. 2, you like simplicity. You want to deploy very quickly and very easily. You want to deploy PSTN to all of your sites all across Canada. You can also, that's a really good reason to do that as well. Number 3, you're looking for a carrier, a real carrier with a real network that has all of the security and all of the backend to support your business. And finally, you're looking for reliability. You're looking for people, a partner that has what it takes to really provide quality of service and no disconnections or no issues on the network for a long time. So I'm really excited to invite my partner Beanfield today to talk. And Ash, this is going to be your presentation. So please take over and then walk us through your company and why this makes sense for all of us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rija, for that wonderful intro. I'm just going to take over here. Okay, so I think a good place to start might be a little bit of our story. You know, it's not an official tagline or anything, but I like to think sometimes that we're one of the largest carriers in Canada that nobody's ever heard of. So I think it's important to understand for all of you that might not have heard of us, kind of where we've come from and what we offer and where we are today. So we've been in business in various forms for over 35 years. In fact, we just passed our anniversary a couple of weeks ago, which was a huge milestone for the company in general. Over 500 employees distributed across 3 offices, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. And in those cities, we own and operate a fiber network that covers over 3,600 buildings. So those addresses, those 3,600 addresses are made up of both commercial and residential buildings. If anybody lives in the downtown Toronto area or the greater Toronto area in a condo, there's a good chance you might have heard of us. You might even be using us at home. But you know, it's a fact that we're a little bit lesser known on the commercial side of things, and we're trying to raise our awareness, you know, across that side of the spectrum. But you know, it's a fairly large footprint, and what we like to say is we build, own, and operate the largest independent. I put that in quotes because the landscape that is the Canadian telecom landscape is a little tricky because you may have many brands, but at the end of the day, a lot of them are owned by the same 2, 3, 4 companies. But we are truly independent. We're not owned by any of the other telcos, and that fiber optic network across those 3 cities is truly our own. We don't lease it. We don't rent it from anyone else. That's actually a central belief in pretty much everything we try to do. We want to have control. Maybe we're control freaks, but we believe we add value when we have control. So that fiber is constructed by us, it's maintained by us, it's installed by us, and it's our own. Quick visual, just to sort of give you some scale. That's an overhead view of a zoomed out view of the Toronto area. You can see we have a very high concentration of fiber in the downtown core, covering the financial sector and all of the residential neighborhoods. But it does expand pretty extensively across the GTA. And in fact, we do have fiber spurs going up into Barrie and, you know, into some of the other suburban areas to reach strategic, you know, data centers or other locations. So pretty significant network that provides significant coverage. Similarly, in Montreal, we are pretty much across the island of Montreal. Again, there's a concentration in the downtown financial area, but you can see we're covering the island sort of east to west, even with a few spurs into the South Shore and Brossard, and that's going to be expanding and north through Laval as well. And over the years, we hope to expand further there. So, you know, given a bit of the history, you might ask, well, why would I work with a company like Beanfield? Great, you have all this fiber in the ground, and you know, I think it's a related comment. We like to explain to our new customers or customers that are new to us that we are a legitimate telco across Canada in those three cities today, and our hope is to expand nationally, you know, as we grow in the future. We're operating a carrier-grade network for our voice services and our fiber connectivity. That backbone is built to proper carrier-grade standards. As I mentioned, we're in full control of our own infrastructure, including the fiber last mile, which is a little bit unique in the Canadian telecom space. If you think about many of the famous quote-unquote independent telcos in Canada providing service, whether it be residential or commercial, many of them, if not most of them, are leasing that last mile from another carrier. They're leasing the fiber from a Bell or the cable from you know, a Rogers or somebody else. Whereas we are in full control. Again, maybe we're control freaks, but that's how we like to operate. All of the equipment deployed across the network is carrier grade and configured in geo-redundant methodologies where applicable. And we're operating major points of presence on our network in those three cities, of course, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, but also across North America. We have points of presence in Calgary, New York, Seattle, et cetera, et cetera. So the backbone does truly extend beyond even where we own fiber last mile. So aside from our network, you know, sort of the size of it, the fact that we own it, and the infrastructure that you know is part of that network, you know, I think the other reason I would suggest that you'd want to work with a company like Beanfield is our values and our approach to how we work with and interact with our customers. I'd like to say that we're the right size. So what does that mean? I mean, we're 500 employees, 3,600 buildings. What I mean is we're here to stay. We're not a flash in the pan that's going to disappear tomorrow. But I also like to think that we're still of a size where we can be nimble and responsive. Still delivering reliable, consistent service because of all the reasons I mentioned about our network and the way it's constructed. So we want to be easy to work with. Sometimes that can be difficult to find when you're dealing with telecom. It's just sort of the historical way that it's been, and we want to be different. I'll give you an example from our residential side, and some of you may be familiar. We have a promise that we make to our residential customers that we will never, ever raise your price, and you're never in a contract. You know, that's a very contrarian approach to how most people deal with their telecom provider in the residential space. So expect differences because we embrace that. So let's talk a little bit about the services that Beanfield provides. There are going to be some that are very, very contextually appropriate to this webinar, but I think I'd like to zoom out and just give you a quick overview of some of the services overall. Okay, so let's start off with business internet. The obvious service that Beanfield can provide using this extensive fiber network is internet. I mean, that's something that's ubiquitous, everybody needs, whether you're a residential or commercial customer, and a commercial customer of any size, right? We're supporting our small business friends with a small business internet offering that's a shared entry-level offering, still fiber-based, but very affordable. And we scale all the way up to 10 or 100 gig type service as needed for large commercial customers using our Ethernet Business Internet product. We also provide an extensive array of private networking options. So private networks come into play when you are operating multiple data centers or multiple offices, and you need that private connectivity that is not internet-based to construct your corporate or data center network. So we offer services all the way through from dark fiber, which is a leased fiber service, to wavelength lit services, or to various Ethernet services, point-to-point, multi-point layer 3 full mesh, or multi-point layer 2 full mesh. We also use that private networking to provide direct cloud on-ramp connectivity in the form of a Cloud Connect. This is something that's increasingly very relevant as more and more businesses become fully cloud enabled in terms of their infrastructure. They need connectivity that is consistent and reliable and secure directly into that infrastructure. And we're just basically taking our last mile fiber network and leveraging it to take you directly to the cloud on-ramp, such as an Azure Express Route type service. We do offer and operate a number of boutique co-location facilities, 4 in Toronto, 1 in Montreal, hopefully expanding into Vancouver in the future as well. Some of you might be looking for areas to store your infrastructure that are not your office, and maybe you're operating a hybrid model with partial infrastructure in Azure and partial that you need to keep on a premise. And we're happy to work with you on co-location opportunities. Moving all the way to the left, last but not least, and what's most relevant to today's webinar, is we do offer a suite of voice and collaboration services. So we have been a voice carrier for over 15 years, offering services in that space in many forms. And I think top of mind is a service that we've been offering for the last short while around Microsoft Teams. So if we go to the next slide, Rija, I think we can talk about that. Before we get into the actual service that I'm talking about, how we deliver into Microsoft Teams, Rija already touched on this. I want to call out a couple of very basic points just to set the table. So what is the Microsoft Teams phone system, and what is Microsoft Teams calling? What we're referring to when I use those terms is really the PBX features and phone system features that Microsoft Teams has built into it. There are an extensive set of features that Microsoft has been building into the Teams environment in anticipation of where we are today in 2023 and going forward. We're obviously all operating in some form of hybrid work. I mean, we're on a webinar, which is case in point, with workforces distributed remotely, sometimes in office, sometimes out of the office, and really delivering a unified communications experience at a high level covers 3 things, right? You need the ability to do meetings, such as this meeting today, video meetings. You need to be able to collaborate, chat, group chat, share content. You've already seen some of that. And last but not least, and depending on the business or type of business you're in, it may be more or slightly less important, is you need to deal with calling. And I mean traditional calling. Most businesses still rely on phone numbers or toll-free numbers. You may be using them to advertise and to it may be a source of income where you receive inbound sales leads. It might be a way that you support your customers where they're reaching out to you as a means of calling out to receive support. So depending on your business, the criticality of the PSTN, the public switched telephone network, which means your phone numbers or your toll-free numbers, will vary. Either way, it is a critical and ongoing important piece in that unified communications strategy. So Microsoft has thought about this, and they've built those features into Teams, and it's ready to accept the PSTN. One of the ways that Microsoft does this, as Rija mentioned earlier, is a program called Operator Connect. And Beanfield, I'm very proud to say, was accepted as a certified Operator Connect carrier a few months ago, this past summer, July, I believe, to be precise. And we're going to talk about what that means for you going forward. So, okay, Microsoft has built all these wonderful features, and they're in your Teams tenant and console for you to use. What is the actual challenge in getting the PSTN plumbed into Microsoft Teams? Well, I'll make a generalization, and I don't mean to offend anyone on the call, but I would wager that voice and phone systems and PBXs are not really the central focus of most IT teams in 2023. They probably haven't been for quite some time. That's why there are partners such as Solulan that work with you on coming up with a strategy to deal with that PBX that might be collecting dust in the closet, but is still critical to your business. IT teams are focused on cloud infrastructure, applications, desktop support, et cetera, et cetera. That really is the focus, I would argue, in 2023. So what do you do with this phone system? And now that we're coming out of the pandemic and we're living in reality of hybrid work, everyone has to develop a strategy around what you're going to do with that piece. The actual act of taking something that's been running for 25 years and integrating it with something shiny and new like Microsoft Teams is a little risky. It's a little scary because you may not know the ins and outs of what's been happening in that old phone system for the last 25 years because it's not it's out of sight, out of mind, right? And the actual act of migration is risky, right? If phone numbers and the PSTN are critical to your business because they're delivering revenue or they're delivering support services to your clients, you want to make sure this transition is really smooth. And you want to make sure that if there's a problem, because occasionally problems happen when you're moving phone numbers around, that somebody is there, a real person and a company that'll stand behind you during that transition. And ultimately, you want to have a plan that you work with a partner on that you can present to your executive team and your company in general that reassures them that this migration is going to go smooth. At the end of the day, enterprises want simplicity, and as I say here, a phone system is an enabler to your business. It's generally not the focus of your business. So how can Beanfield help in this matter? So we have an offer that we call Managed Calling for Microsoft Teams. And we're basically leveraging this Operator Connect infrastructure and certification that we've achieved to deliver a fully managed, properly integrated calling plan solution for Microsoft Teams. This offer uses that carrier-grade voice infrastructure and backbone that I talked about earlier, right? So we're leveraging that network that we've built. That network is directly connected to the Microsoft Azure environment where Teams is running. That's a requirement of the Operator Connect program. In fact, we have multiple redundant express route connectivity from our backbone to different Microsoft Azure compute regions. Again, it's a requirement. And I would just like to say that it's not an easy thing to do for anybody out there. So you have to be a carrier to do this. So I'm just sort of emphasizing that, it's something that we're very proud of and that you have to be at a certain level to achieve this. Sorry, Rija, I'll just finish a couple of points there. My bad. Our offer, we like to call it a managed white glove offer because we are de-risking that transition of the PSTN and phone numbers into the Teams environment. And we'll do that in a couple of different flavors. We'll talk about the plans in a second. They're all per user per month plans, very simple to understand, very easy to consume. And we have a few options around. Specifically, we have sort of two flavors that we work with depending on your needs and depending on if you're working with a partner or not, such as Solulan, who may be fulfilling those management functions for you. In our standard offer, it's a very simple offer. Everybody gets a DID, all your users get a DID, and everybody gets Canada-wide calling. We believe we're kind of past the age of nickel and diming you for a number of minutes, or if you want this feature or that feature, it's just kind of all in. We don't limit you on the number of calls you make, your organization, everybody can make a call at the same time, there's no channel limits. That managed DID deployment is that transition service that we're gonna work very closely with you and or your partner with to ensure that it's the risk is minimized. The offer is obviously compatible with all the MS Teams desk phones, so lots of the manufacturers, some of which Rija mentioned earlier, the Polycoms, the Ciscos of the world are deploying Teams specific phones, which make it really easy to deploy. Of course, you can use that with our service. If you have multiple tenants in your Teams environment because of acquisitions or whatever, we can work around that. And in the premium offer, we just go a step further. If you're looking to work with a carrier that will just translate what your PBX is doing into the Microsoft Teams environment for you and configure it for you, we're happy to do that. And we'll give you access to a portal to do simple move ads changes, as well as some additional functionality such as business continuity planning, disaster recovery, rerouting, where we can intercept the call before it even hits the Teams environment and reroute the call somewhere else if need be. And yeah, some SIP phone compatibility and so on and so forth. So those are the two flavors that we do offer. So to kind of summarize, other than why Beanfield, why specifically Beanfield for Teams calling? A lot of these points I've talked about already. We believe we're right-sized. We're going to be nimble. We're going to be adaptable. But we do have the expertise. We have people that do this day in, day out in terms of transitioning you from a legacy PBX environment to a UC, full UC environment. And we're going to be there to manage that transition. We're going to be reliable. We own our own infrastructure. We like to be in control. We're actually a CLEC, a competitive local exchange carrier, which means we own our own phone numbers in the Toronto and Montreal regions, and that's expanding. So we're gonna become a CLEC in all these other cities and many more. So we'll have direct control of that transition of the phone numbers. And last but not least, as I mentioned, we have a very simple offering. It's very simple to understand, very simple to consume, and which will make it very easy for us to work with you on opportunities going forward. So with that, I will thank you for the time, and please reach out to us. As Rija mentioned earlier, there's partners@beanfield.com email address. Some of you may already be working with us directly. You can continue working with us in the way that you have been so far. And yeah, I look forward to the next section. I think I'm over to Simon now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ash. Very excited to work with you and your team. Now I'd like to move on to the next section of our presentation, which really is a big deal for all of us, because we are entering into a new era. As I was watching the keynote from Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, he used the term the age of Copilots, which is really AI. So for those of you who are not aware of what is Copilot, so Copilot is this AI assistant that is being infused into all of the Microsoft ecosystem. You're going to have access to Copilot in all of your Microsoft 365 apps, whether it's in PowerPoint, in Word, Excel, Microsoft Teams, obviously. And today we have the pleasure to really see that in action, as it's now being GA since November 1st. But before we go there, I just want to provide you guys a little bit of guidance in terms of what is really Copilot, because a lot of you are still confused. I mentioned Teams Premium, which is really available to all of you as long as you do have the add-on. Teams Premium is basically AI infused as well, but it's more of the ability for you to use a LLM or a large language model in your Microsoft 365 apps, and being able to use the equivalent of ChatGPT, for those of you who are aware of it, except it's directly within your apps, your Microsoft apps, such as Bing Chat, and also your Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this is a slide that really kind of gives you a sense of how do you use Copilot today, where is it, and what's the scope on whether you can use it for your personal use within the context of work, and then within the context of your apps and what it does. Also, just to make sure that we understand each other, Teams Premium really is to give you the ability to automate and summaries and have intelligent summaries of all the things that you're doing. And it allows you to really be productive and really being able to save time within all of your user base. And Teams Premium can be deployed on a user basis. Not everybody may need all of the Teams Premium features. You can actually deploy it. Whereas Copilot in Teams or other really is the ability for you to ask insights, information within your own data. That's what Copilot does. So it could be execute actions. It could be making suggestions about any information you want to set up. It could also be insights, whether it's contextual insight or on demand. That's really what Copilot is all about. And I just want to make sure that we understand that. Obviously, if you were to deploy Copilot, you need to prepare for it. You need to be correctly licensed for Copilot because it's open to enterprise accounts today. So you need specific array of licensing, such as Microsoft 365 E3s or E5s. You need to make sure that you work with a partner that sets up the correct permissions and the content management that allows Copilots to provide the right data, because it's your data, remember. So you need to be able to have the right data coming up to you, because you don't want to have access to confidential data that you should not be able to access. You have to make sure that you have your security, your privacy, and your data residency properly ready to deploy and to be used by your end users. And then finally, not least but most important, is you want to make sure that you help your end user drive adoption and really use Copilot properly before you deploy it. And we at Solulan, we do provide, along with our partners, a lot of programs to prepare and to help our customers to prepare Copilots and really use the best practices around it. So now I'd like to move on to some of very important announcements that were made as of yesterday during Ignite, which Simon is going to be talking about. So we do have a couple of videos that Simon is going to play. So Simon, why don't you just maybe announce those announcements, and then we'll play the videos.
Yes, I would say that most of the announcement by itself will be done by itself by the video, but the two main points I wanted to highlight for this webinar, because we announced so many yesterday, are the Copilot in Teams Phone and Copilot for Services. So the first one will really help you during a phone call or a one-to-one call with one of your colleagues, but it also works with PSTN to get a recap and interact with what have been said. While the second one is to help our contact center agent to focus less on note-taking and more on customer services, then they can interact with the transcript live. So let's see the Copilot in Teams Phones to begin with.
With Copilot in Teams Phone, you can make and receive calls from your Teams app on any device and get real-time summarization and insight. Here, you're on a call with a teammate discussing the plans for an upcoming marketing event. During the call, Copilot can summarize key action items, owners, and deadlines discussed, so you don't have to worry about getting distracted by taking notes. Or you can use natural language commands, such as asking Copilot for suggestions on additional planning work streams you and your teammate should consider for the event you're planning. Copilot also works during PSTN calls. Here, you're on a PSTN call with a customer who is interested in learning more about your company's recent product announcements. With the help of Copilot, you can summarize the call, helping you stay focused and engaged during the conversation. Copilot can also curate a list of unresolved questions that came up during the call. The customer has some specific questions that require input from another subject matter expert in your organization. Using the Consult Then Transfer feature, you can chat with your colleague and confirm she's able to help the customer with their questions. Now, when you transfer the call to her, thanks to Copilot, she's able to get a summarized recap of your discussion and a list of the top questions raised by the customer, all in a matter of seconds. This saves you time you would have spent catching up and creates a better customer experience, since the customer won't need to recap their questions.
We'll switch to the other one instead of watching the recap, so we have a bit more time. So this is for services.
Introducing Microsoft Copilot for Service. Copilot for Service helps deliver compelling service experiences by modernizing contact centers with generative AI, providing agents with access to the right knowledge across all of your data. Copilot goes to work as soon as your customer reaches out for support. In this case, serving up the right knowledge base articles from your CRM solution, Salesforce, letting you take action right in the apps you use to communicate. With the click of a button, Copilot helps you offer your customers personalized support, drafting tailored replies and scheduling service calls in a matter of minutes. Since you're always in control, you can adjust the tone of the message to match the urgency, pose a meeting time, or even add custom details that Copilot didn't quite get right. On your customer calls, Copilot is at the ready. It works wherever your agent does, including their agent desktop, helping to answer questions in real time by sourcing information from both internal and external sources, like SharePoint and Salesforce, to bring up a concise summary of what you need to know. With all the questions answered, you can leave customers happy and well-informed. After the call, all you have to do is confirm the changes and send the shipment and delivery details for the order. Now, you're free to help the next customer.
Perfect. And now we'll switch to live demo. So I wouldn't be able to demo those two because we just launched them, right? So thanks for watching the video. We don't just announce them, not even launch. So now I'm jumping right into my demo environment where I'm looking at the meeting that already happened. I cannot demo a live meeting while being in another meeting. So let's say I missed that meeting and I want to catch up on this one. So I will go and just ask Copilot to recap the meeting for me. As if you have Team Premium, that step should already been done, but keep in mind that Copilot can also be done live during the meeting. So during the meeting, I could ask the same thing to have a recap of what the meeting or what I've missed in the last 5 minutes because I got distracted due to an email. So perfect. Now it quickly generates for me the recap of the meeting and give some timestamp of who said what during the meeting to create those notes. So I want to know if I missed something important. So maybe my manager speak. Since Copilot know who I am based on my Active Directory, it will know exactly who my manager is too. So it's easy for me to just ask if my manager spoke during the meeting. As you can see, yes, my manager, which is Megan in that scenario, spoke during the meeting, and I can see what she said. So as I mentioned then, did anybody mention me during the meeting? So again, Team Premium, you can go, but that can be done live too. So that's the big difference. So yeah, I've been mentioned multiple times for multiple reasons. So I can see what's going on there, and I can quickly go and look at what is important for me, see the transcript of what have been done. So, okay then, next step, list action item. Great. So now, is there any point in that meeting that need to be actionable, right? Again, live during a meeting, I do that often near the end of the meeting, recap like the action items so we can all sync on the fact that have been said and who is responsible. I don't quite like that format. It's might be too tax heavy. So what I will do differently is I will ask it to format it as a table with the item, the owner, and the timeline that have been committed during the meeting. And again, it will be able to go scan that meeting transcript and generate that table for me. This one is a bit more complex, so we'll give it a few seconds. But as you see now, I have the same list of items, but now I have what have been said, who is the owner, and the timeline that have been specified. And in that case, for some reason, it did generate better for me just before. So as you can see, this one has been during or after lunch. So it maybe my prompt was a little different when I retype it, but you can see that the action item, the owner, and the baseline are now all stated in here with that. So great. Now, any follow-up question post-meeting that should be asked? So what have not been asked, what is still pending? Okay, we have some idea of those follow-up questions by now. So how to ask them? I will ask Copilot to draft an email to send the follow-up question to the meeting organizer. So in Teams, I cannot have Copilot build the email for me, but I can ask him to build the draft of that email for me. So the next step would only need for me to copy paste that into my Outlook client and send that email to Megan. So Megan being the organizer. So hi, Megan. Hope you're doing well. Trying to be a bit more, give some background in there and ask the remaining question about that meeting. So I missed the meeting. I have the recap. I know that my manager was there when I was mentioned. What are the action items? Who are the owner of those action items? What's the follow-up? And I already have a meeting ready to get some more information about those follow-up questions. And that took me, 4 minutes to catch up on our meeting. So that's quite efficient. The other big part of Copilot for Microsoft 365 is our chatbot. Our chatbot is the most powerful Copilot we have so far, I would say, because you have access to all the company information that you as a user have access to, which is a good reason why you should do some data protection and clean up before you deploy Copilot in your organization. But now let's see in here if I can interact a bit more about a bit of everything. So you have access to my email, my chat, my file, the SharePoint folders, and now I'm asking about the grand opening of our new office. So I know personally that is an email thread that is going on in my inbox in here. So I don't mention it where it was. I just ask about the new opening of the new office. And now it can go. It gives me the summarization of the last development. I have to reference about that email. So who have said what to get there. Okay, great. So that is good for me. Now, let's say I need to work on a proposal, a business proposal. I have my business proposal, which is here. I don't quite like much the intro, so I will ask Copilot to rebuild the intro for me. So I point him toward the right file. Hopefully my copy paste will work. Sometime I will have to redo my prompt, but I will see if. Good, it's working. The best way to use file usually in Copilot will be to go in your file and copy the link. So this way you're sure, but I can also refer file by doing a slash like that. And you can see I have my file, my meeting, and some people that I can also refer to. So now I have a new intro. I could just copy that and go to my business proposal and update my intro. But like I said, it's have access also to my personal information. So it can be my personal assistant. So I can ask him to recap my last meeting for me. And I can also ask Copilot. I will let him finish with this one. But I can also ask him to get me, or it, her, not sure about the gender of Copilot, but let's ask it about also to get ready for my next meeting. So it can understand what's happening, but it also help me understand what's my meeting about, which file, which chat, email thread is pertinent for me to get ready for that meeting. So think about that. I could ask Copilot to be ready for my next meeting with my customer. It will go through my email thread, look at everything that, and for sure. Okay, if we go up a bit, get ready for my next meeting. Maybe my calendar is now rolling over that meeting, but we can see that my next meeting is about the brainstorming session for the grand opening, referring that as the source also of the information, and it gives me some insight about that. But since Copilot also know about my business, it know about who I'm working with, my partner, my customers. So I want to know what's about the work I am doing with Adventure Work, with one of the fake Microsoft company we have out there. So it will go scan through my file, scan through my SharePoint, and all of that. It will give me some information about being ready for not getting ready, but what I'm doing with that customer. Maybe I'm new in the company, or maybe I want to get ready with that. So what's the next step about the Project Thunderbolt that I've been mentioned in that email, or should have been mentioned in there? That's the part of doing live demo. But usually it does mention in my file to Thunderbolt, but for some reason it didn't this time. But yeah, still existing project, so it will be able to understand Adventure Work and Thunderbolt project. Usually it does. Again, always be ready. Here we go. So for some reason, the demo god are not with me today, as I'm going to speed through that. But we say that the Thunderbolt project, so I have my next step in there. As I said, so it can help me also generate content. So that's my business proposal. So if I'm coming here, I want to go and generate a new business proposal. Let me just fix that quickly. I will refer to file for my business proposal. Awesome file, business proposal, attach. But for our new client Solulan. So what it will be doing, so it will generate a file based on an existing file. So I will skip you to wait because that's a long document. But as you can see now, I have my business proposition, but for Solulan. It did go and look out who is Solulan. So this one is based on the LLM at the moment. We don't have access to internet yet. So at the moment, it's based on what's the LLM know. But Solulan is a company specialized in cloud solution for small and medium business size, which is quite right. And it did all the customization of my document. And I lost part of it, sadly, because my tab go to sleep. But as you can see, it's generating it live. At the end, I can either choose to keep the document, regenerate the document. So it's my first step. And it can, if I'm not happy with that, I can go and ask Copilot to rewrite it too. And it will generate some more idea about that intro. The next fun thing in here is generating presentation based on those documents, right? So if my file would have worked, I would have done it this way, but let's create a new presentation file from my business proposal. I could have done it on this one when it will be finished, but it's still generating. So again, it will look over things, magic. This one is already finished. So what's going on in here? Same prompt. So it finds the highlight of the document. It creates for me the proposal. I use Designer to change a slide a bit, so it look more like my business. I ask Copilot to already make all the title bold, a slight change, but I can also ask it to organize my presentation. So what it will do, it will find the section for me. It will classify the thing together. I'm running out of time, so that's the last thing I will be able to showcase to give you at least a minute or two for question. But now it's organizing my presentation for myself. We'll give it some time, and I guess during that time, Rija, we can go to question if the audience have any.
Great, thank you so much, Simon. This is amazing. As you've seen, guys, the power of Copilot in action here. So we have about 2 minutes left. There's still about 40 people in the room today. So if you guys have any questions, this is your opportunity to ask any questions. You can raise your hand, or you can directly ask questions in the meeting chat as well, and we can answer it live. So this is your opportunity to ask questions to Ash, myself, or Simon. And then after, we'll take probably about 2 or 3 questions, and then after that, Simon, you'll just show us the results, and then we can complete and adjourn the webinar. So any questions, anything you guys have want to discuss? Okay, John, I will be emailing the recorded meeting. Yes, it will be edited first, because obviously there's a couple of things that needs to be rearranged, but yes, absolutely, I will record and email the meeting to you. I agree with you, Mike. It is certainly changing the way we work. It's changing the way we are going to be interacting with each other. But it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time, and as we are all going into 2024, definitely a good time to think about what the future looks like and how you can rethink the way you do. And one of the things that we're discussed at Ignite is really the ability for people to set up their own Copilot. Yes, we do have Copilot infused into Microsoft 365, but what we want to be able to do is to think with you on how we can help you design your own Copilot, your own apps for your own company that your customers can use. So that's the next step here.
I said that John asked a question about recapping the meeting with Copilot, which is a good one. So Copilot at this time is using GPT text only. So we need to base on transcript for recap. We just announced at Ignite that we will be able to, during a meeting, if the organization and the organizer allow it, to use Copilot without transcription, but that will be just during the meeting. Once the meeting ends, since the transcript is not kept, there's no way for Copilot to go and probe that meeting. So meeting recording is not an obligation, but if you want to use the Copilot, it needs to have some text. So currently, it's based on transcript. As I said, we just announced that transcript, Copilot without transcript during the meeting will be available soon, but it will just live during the meeting. So post-meeting, you won't be able to use Copilot if the transcript was not enabled. So that's why we need to have transcript enabled. Based on the data residency, the data protection, you don't have access to transcript for external meetings. So it's only meeting in your organization on which Copilot will be able to use to work at the moment. Maybe thing will change on the future. We're evolving Copilot quite quickly. We try to be evolve as fast as we can to respond to those kind of feedback. So you should be able to use Copilot in meeting you assist or miss as long as transcripts are open and enabled inside your organization today. Future, will tell us how it goes. Hopefully that answers your question, John.
Excellent. All right. It's about we have more questions coming. This is more for you, Ash. Do you see Microsoft Teams calling becoming affordable for small businesses? What do you have to say, Ash?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. And the trend has been obviously that the mid to large enterprise has been leading the charge first because they have the ability, the financial muscle, the IT backing to kind of make this transition. But I think what I would say, and I don't know, Simon or Rija, if you agree with me, the advent of Operator Connect, one of the driving factors, I think, was to make it easy for carriers and operators to develop smaller business offerings around that Microsoft Teams calling transition. So it sort of creates the foundation, in my opinion, for carriers such as Beanfield and others to create very simple small business offerings. And what I mean by that, Siobhan, is almost self-serve like. Right, where a small business, 5 people who have adopted Microsoft and just need to have a phone number to publish, have that easy transaction. That's something where we are going to go. We're not there yet. We will work with the smaller business opportunities still, of course, but that's the trend I see happening, if that makes sense.
Very insightful. Thank you, Ash. All right, everyone. It's about 5 after the hour. I just want to thank Ash and Simon for very, very insightful, presentations that you both have made. I just want to let everyone know that we are going to continue as we're entering into this new age in 2024. We're going to continue to have these webinars with some practical, insightful presentation that you can use directly for your meeting. And again, for all of you who have any questions, please use the email partners@beanfield.com. Should you want to continue this conversation, if you have any requests or anything like that, this is your opportunity to get in touch with all of us here. And that being said, it's now time to adjourn the webinar, and I want to thank everyone for staying this time and for your insightful questions. Thank you all, and have a really, really good day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.